Hi.
Claudia, hello.
Hello. We are like so international this episode.
Yes. Tengo que decir primero en español. Esta vez vamos a grabar en inglés porque tenemos a Boni Lonnsburry, autora del Mapa de la Abundancia, en vivo y en directo desde Colorado, y vamos a estar haciendo este episodio en English. So, hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Boni.
Hi. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor. Thank you for being here. So, I'm Araceli Arce.
I'm Claudia Villanueva.
And this is Con Afecto y Efecto.
Porque la vida es así, sin afecto no hay efecto. Esto es Con Afecto y Efecto.
Hi, Boni.
Hi.
It's an honor to us for you having here, and we want to talk about, first of all, in our podcast, we like our invited presents of themselves. So please, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
As you said, my name is Boni Lonnsburry. I live in Colorado, outside of Boulder right now, but I'm originally from New York State. And who am I? I am a conscious creator. I am living my best life, consciously creating joy, abundance, happiness, love, creativity. I'm having a blast, and I really can't define myself. I'm a writer. I do write, but I don't define myself by what I do, more who I am, which is somebody who's, just trying to squeeze every drop of joy out of life.
I love that.
Me
because
too.
usually when you present yourself, you talk about most of the time, or most of the people talk about their jobs, their education, what do they do. And I heard a lot of interviews in other years with you, because Araceli told me, I want to invite Boni, and okay, I need to hear her and read your book, so I can also be like part of it and can make like a vision of who is Boni. But I see you, and it's like I'm seeing you 4 years ago. That yesterday I was hearing an interview from YouTube, and it's like it's the same.
You look gorgeous.
Yeah, you look super gorgeous, super young.
Thank you.
So, Boni, please, first of all, I want to hear from you. What inspires you to write the map of abundance?
Well, I was not abundant early on in my life. I declared bankruptcy, literally declared bankruptcy. I had zero money. My family of origin, my parents were blue collar workers, and never had 2 nickels to rub together. It's an American phrase saying not much money. Mm-hmm. And it frustrated me. And then when I learned that we create our own reality, I thought, well, gosh, I need to do this. I need to create some abundance of my own. And I was a miserable failure for a lot of years. And it just was so agonizing to know that I create my own reality, but I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And so finally I did it. I finally got good at it. I persevered. I just went back and back and back and did all the things I knew to do. And then people wanted to know, how'd you do that? How'd you do it?
Yeah.
Recommend a book. And I couldn't, because I didn't see any books out there that really did everything I did. And so that's when I wrote the map, and I wrote the map to abundance, because if people can unlock abundance, if they can start to create monetary wealth and safety and security monetarily, it just frees up everything. They don't have that weight on their shoulders that they're not surviving. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to really address that and help people figure that out for themselves. So that's why I wrote it.
Bonnie, you wrote first one book that the name is The Map, and then you wrote The Map of the Abundance.
Yes.
There are two books.
Two different books, yes.
Different books.
The Map to Abundance is the only one in Spanish, though.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was like reading about it, and I also have like questions about it, but I want to rescue this part when I heard you said that to be conscious and create this reality for you, what this reality that cares for you, that is like good for you, you needed to like to move from A to B. But how do you do that? How do you make that unconscious beliefs to conscious, and then can create another path or another travesty? How do you did that? What happened in your life that could like give you that insight so you could move on to another place or in a different way?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wrote that very thick book, because there's, it's not that complicated. I remember going to my dentist, who happened to be a metaphysician, in 1998.
Okay.
And he said, Bonnie, money's the easiest thing in the world to create. It's the easiest thing. And I'm like, what? It's not easy. It's hard. Money is hard to create. And of course, that's a belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a belief.
Yeah.
If you believe it's easy to create, you're going to create it easily. That and 100 other beliefs that I changed on the way to allowing money to flow to me like water flows down a riverbed. I mean, it really does at this point in my life, but it didn't always. And so I kept going back, because there was a part of me, and I think there's a part of all of us, if we just are quiet enough to find it, there's a part of us that knows truth.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of us that knows that we have been gifted that ability to create with our thoughts and our emotions and our beliefs, our outer world, everything that happens in it. And some of our inner world, our happiness, our joy, our emotions. And so I kept coming back to that knowing. Mm-hmm. I know this is true. I know this is true. I'm going to figure it out. And I just kept holding on to that and asking my unseen guides unseen friends for help. And they gave it to me. And so they would send me people and books and information and knowingness. And I just kept changing the beliefs and, being aware, being conscious, being aware of what I was thinking and what I was feeling about money specifically.
Okay.
And I kept changing little by little by little. And my reality kept changing little by little by little too. Mm-hmm. And so it was this wonderful adventure, because every time you get a little bit better at it, your reality gives you a little bit more abundance. And that's fun, right? It's fun to just get abundance out of thin air. I'm not talking that I go out and work harder for it. I'm talking about opportunities and gifts coming out of thin air, just like magic. And so, yeah.
Like magic, but it's also not magic, because it's a work.
It's a decision.
It's an inner work.
Yeah.
It's like this part of being conscious awareness. It's difficult, but when you go through it, when you are in it, it feels like magic, because if you change, all around you will give you like those changes. If you change your mind, you can instead of being like, oh, why do that happen to me, or being this constant like war with you, you can be like grateful. So this gives me a lesson. This I have this opportunity. I learned something new about me or about the world or the environment that is around me. So that gives me like the key to transform my life, being in that work of consciousness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that the first step, Boni, on the map of the abundance, it's to be conscious, to getting this connection with myself, to recognize and these thoughts, these beliefs that are in the negative, in the ego, this little voice inside me that tells, no, you can do this, no, you can do that, no, it's not enough. No, I think that the first step, it's when the magic occurs,
The first step is to realize who you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that you do have this amazing gift right at your fingertips. Yeah. And it's working all the time. You don't have to figure out how to use the law of attraction. You're using it. You're creating your reality. Look around you. Around you are your beliefs. Mm-hmm. Around you are your thoughts. Around you are your emotions. And you do have to, separate that part of you that wants you to fail. Some call it the ego. I call it the negative self, because there's lots of different parts to that self. And I just kind of put it all into one negative ball to deal with it. Mm-hmm. But there's a part of you that really doesn't want you to succeed. Mm-hmm. That's okay. It's not a very powerful part. Oftentimes we give it power, but it doesn't have power. And so we can take our power back from the negative self, from society, from our families, from, our country of origin, from all of the beings and people and ideas that want to keep us small and keep us powerless, and decide, no, I'm going to create a wonderful life, an abundant life filled with all of the joys, money and everything else of abundance. And it's not to be better than, that would be giving it to the ego, right? Mm-hmm. But it's to just have fun. And there's a part of us that says, oh, that's not enough. You have to give to others, and you have to do this and sacrifice and be a martyr and make money and give it all away. And you know what? Money's an illusion, just like air. Are you going to say, oh, I have too much air, I have to give some of it away? No. Everybody has air if they want air, and everybody has abundance if they want abundance. And that's not to say don't share some of it, but do it in a way that works for you and for others, because sharing too much of it can be enabling to people that you care about. Mm-hmm. And so, abundance, the map to abundance is a thicker book than the map. Yeah. And the reason is that we have so many societal and belief systems and so much garbage around money and what it means and how it's dark over here and it's light over here, and you shouldn't have it, but you should have it, and you shouldn't have it, but you need it. And it's just ridiculous how much weight there is on it. And so, it does take a while to unwind all that, but boy, it is worth it, right?
Yeah. And how did you get the clarity of these 7 steps, Boni?
You know what? I just asked for it. I remember sitting at my desk and thinking about, okay, I want to make this really easy for people, but inclusive. I want to make it something that expands and contracts so that, people get caught up in the minutia. They can step outside and see these big 7 steps, or if they're too big and it's not working, they can go into the tiny steps of it, into the minutia of it, and find the details and find, one of those beliefs and change it and know how to do that. I wanted there to be baby steps, but I wanted there to be a big overall arching map. And I just asked my guides, okay, can you tell me how to do this? And it was right there. They just downloaded it to me, and I wrote it on sticky notes, and it has done those things, I think, for me anyway. It can expand and it can contract, and it always has all the pieces in it that we need to consciously create. So, don't forget your unseen friends, because they're there. They want to help you every step along the way. Take advantage of it, because it can be so much easier. It doesn't have to be hard.
Boni, can you tell us about your history of life? It's Araceli and I are psychologists, so often we hear these stories of life of our patients, and they are always like significant moments in their lives, like when they were a child, when they were teenagers, a young adult. Do you have those specific moments, or can you tell us about like something that gives you I don't know, the impulse to be where you are right now, but since you were like young, like a little girl, do you have memories about special moments in your life that give you something that you can use in your present?
Yes and no. I'm writing novels now. And the first novel I wrote is about death. Mm-hmm. And a woman who loses her child. And I didn't think I had any past history with that, but I happened to come upon an old family Bible. It was like this thick and huge thing. And I opened it up, and there's this story that I wrote when I was 10 about this family that loses this little boy.
Okay.
So I think, there are pieces of it, but I woke up very, very slowly. I was in my late 20s before I started waking up at all. And there was a reason for that. It was a past lifetime that I came upon my spirituality. And when I did that, people around me suffered. And my two boys in this lifetime were two of the people who suffered. So I put it out there, and I didn't let myself open to that until late 20s. And my family was not at all open. My mother burned my Ouija board because she saw I was taking it seriously. And, but, we have help. Our soul has a plan for this lifetime. And no matter what you do, you can't avoid coming face to face with what the soul has planned for you, is my belief. And so when I started opening up to it, I was like, like I was in the desert and had drank for years. I just, was voracious about learning and growing and healing, and learning and growing and healing, and learning and growing and healing. And so, it was in me all the time, but it didn't show up a lot in my childhood. No, I came from, like I said, a very blue collar family. Very, they went to church on Easter and Christmas Eve. And that was it. Okay. And even that wasn't, it wasn't something that fed me or fed them. And I asked my father when I was a teenager, do you believe in God? And he looked at me and he said, Boni, I don't know. I don't know if there's a God. And so I loved that, because it gave me permission to be an agnostic. Yeah. It gave me permission to not know too. And I didn't know until, consciously anyway, until my son was born. And when he was born, it just was one of those downloads of course there has to be a divine being. Look at this child. So yeah.
Talking about that in the other episode about when you have a child, it's a total different perspective of life.
And love.
And love.
Love.
Yeah.
And that's part of the plan too, I suspect. Right? Because everybody is us, because we are one.
Yes. Of course.
With everyone else, with all of the planet, with all of the things on it, with all of the people, who we consider bad or good. And our children, I think, is that first step towards knowing that.
Wow. And how did you learn that we are all connected, and how you get the certain of that?
It's in all the literature. So it's in everything you read.
Yes.
So I knew it cognitively, I knew it in theory. And as I've grown and as I've healed and as I've had experiences with the divine, I have these direct experiences through meditation and other ways that let me experience that very truly, very viscerally, very, as it's happening. And, some of this stuff, nobody's going to prove it to you. Nobody's going to prove that you're one with everything and everyone. Nobody's going to prove that there is a God and goddess. Nobody's going to prove that you create your own reality. So, I think part of the journey is developing our intuition to a point where we know truth.
Yes.
And in the beginning, it's, I needed a lot of signs. I would ask for signs for everything, especially with a big decision, like, show me this. And they would show me a sign, because they knew it was coming from a place of truly trying to discern what was true and what was right for me. But you won't get it if ego's messed up with it, and if you're trying to prove something to somebody. But it's this beautiful path, and every step along the way is one that you are ready for. And you don't know what steps lie ahead because you're not ready for those yet. And that's what's fun about it, right? Because there's always more to learn, and more healing to be done, and more love to be received and given. And it's this magic, when I first figured out that we create our own reality, I thought, well, this is great. I'll just go do this. I'll have this fabulous life and I'll be done. Right. And I was shocked kind of when my spirituality began to open up. And I laugh now because it's so tightly interwoven, our spirituality and our ability to create. But at the time, I just thought it was over here, like with ESP and God and religion was over here. And I'll play over here. I'll get that all working. And I'm not interested in God and religion stuff, but it's part of it. It's part of it. And it's this beautiful, amazing, incredible gift when you can discover it for yourself.
Yeah. And how you can tell audience that they're first decide to meditate if they never did this? How is the path to do this, to open our heart, to open our minds in this work, because it's a work.
The best thing to do is to ask for help, ask for guidance, set your intentions. What do you want? I want to open to my, not yours, my spiritual path, the path that best speaks to me as the unique individual I am. I want that. I intend that. So guides, helpers, if you're there, and I'm going to assume you are, if you're there, help me with this. Help me open to my path and show me a sign that you're there and you're going to help me. And then pay attention for 24 hours. Pay attention to that sign, because those signs are like gold in the beginning. Now I don't ask for signs anymore. I get them when I'm manifesting something. There's lots of little signs that come and I'm like, oh, there's a sign, but I'm not looking for them. I'm not desperate for them. I don't need them to prove anything to me. They're just, of course there's going to be signs because this is what I'm doing. But in the beginning, they're like gold, because every time you get one, it solidifies where you are on your path and what your belief system is, and that you have this help. It's available to you and you're receiving it. So,
you know
how important is like to listen to yourself,
yeah,
and have this clarity of what you need, what you want, but also this practice of like Boni said, and we also think about it and promote that. You can ask for help. You can ask for guidance. You can ask for something to listen to you.
Yeah.
And it's important to learn about yourself, to speak with yourself, to listen to yourself, but it's also important to have these people around you and who you can have these conversations about it. Because the thing is, we all, as human, we are in this we want to know like what is better for us. We want to have a good life. We want to like discover this way, this path, but the answers are in you.
Yes.
But you can always find answers like with the people around you that loves you, that cares about you. And I think that both are important.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And you know what? That was happened with to me when I read the map of the abundance. To realize that my path, it's not the same of the other one. And that gave me so much freedom. So when I realized with making this context with my guidance, it was a miracle. It was magic when you told us, just like that. So
yeah, because
we have to
that connection.
Yes,
it's like an insight when you discover like, okay, the power is in me and I can change it if I change my thoughts or my beliefs about myself and how the world is. It's difficult because when you're a child, you heard your parents or your teachers or other people told you about
everybody outside, but now in the inside.
Yeah. And that's why it's important as an adult to give our child, to give our teenagers that validation of what they are thinking, their feelings. Yeah. That's why we promote that practice, no? Of validate our children, our teenagers, so they could be like an adult, free to believe in himself or herself, and whatever they want to believe.
For sure. Yes. So Boni, what do you read?
What do I read?
Yeah. Which writers, or I don't know. I want to know because I read you, but you can tell me what.
Oh, I'm a voracious reader. I love to read. I read probably a book a week. I read a lot of nonfiction. I read fiction, more so that I'm writing fiction. I read fiction. I love memoirs. But one of your questions to me was, what book would you, which I love this question so much, what book would you say was a good companion to the map? And I had never had that question asked in all the interviews I've done. And it's a great question. So I had to really think about it. But I love Sineya Roman. Are you familiar with her work?
No.
Sineya Roman.
Okay.
And I would suggest this is a great companion to the map.
Nice.
It's called Growth, Being Your Higher Self. And it's channeled. I really like channeled material. Always have. Yeah, she's got other ones. Creating Money would be a great companion to the Map to Abundance, which is also channeled by Sineya Roman. Mm-hmm. But I love to read memoirs and biographies because it's so much fun. As you were talking about, Claudia, having, looking at your childhood and seeing how that led to, where you ended up or where you are now. And it's so much fun to read those and see how they took on beliefs from their family of origin and from their experiences and then created from those beliefs later on. Mm-hmm. So I really love to read biographies and memoirs for that reason.
Yeah. I also, my questions were like about your childhood, or if you have like present these moments in your life, because I work with childs and I work with children and I work with teenagers. So for me, it's like, it's a gift being like, present in their paths or their process of making changes. And yes, because they depend, to an adult. So it's difficult for them, but when the adult also get into the process, it's magic. There is going to happen like the magic.
We forget how much power we have, to help a child or an adolescent's life become better, to have them think of themselves in a better light, mm-hmm, to help them love themselves. Yeah, we have a lot of power there.
Yeah,
we do.
And we also like this thing about you learned what you receive of your parents, your family, and that's what you can give. Because we give what we have in our minds and in our hearts. But it's interesting also all the neuroscience now that tell us that our brain has this neuroplasticity. So that it's the key for making changes. It's the key, like you are writing your book to, okay, you have these beliefs, you have this conception about yourself. You need to recreate another, or like evaluate what is a belief that is making me feel good, and with what is a belief that it's not making me feel good about myself. So there is like the this process of making changes, but first you need to recognize them, you need to identify them, and then you're going to make those changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part for a lot of people, identifying them.
Yes.
But it's, one of the techniques that I talk about in the map, and I think the Map to Abundance as well, is going back to our child self.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
Talking to them, right? Did you do that?
Yes, for sure. I do that with my patients.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go to their future self too. We do that in the map. Mm-hmm. I do that with my patients.
It's so important. It's so important because sometimes patients don't know they have like an issue, or they don't know where it come. And when you go back to your childhood and you're like, okay, because my dad, because my mom, they told me, or in a Christmas or in my birthday party when I was 5, and you are going to like, oh my God, when you go and identify those moments and you realize the impact in your present, it's like it blows your mind.
Yeah.
So it's like, and
it's a before and after.
yeah, but it's important to go and talk to our inner child and be kind and give them what they didn't receive when they were like little. Yeah.
That's the third steps of the map, right? When you visit all of your back in your future, yeah. And that's so powerful. How can we cannot be powerful with all this me's, you know? So it's a great work that you put right there in the map, and the easiest steps for manifest and connect with ourselves. That's the magic, just like you said.
It is. If we didn't have old hurts and pains, if we didn't have constricting or negative beliefs that we were given or, picked up from society or our parents or relatives or friends, we could just, like we do on the other side, we could just think of something that we wanted and it would eventually come. I mean, it's slower because we're in a physical world and it's denser here. So it takes longer to manifest things than it does on the other side. But those old hurts and that old pain is largely what keeps us from having it be really, really easy. But the good part of it, everything is healable. Everything is healable. And that's a belief. So,
Yeah.
Change that belief if you don't hold that belief. But it can be.
Yeah. We can be conscious of the light because we are conscious of the darkness.
Yes.
So we need both. We need both.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, Boni, tell us, what are you doing now? Where the audience can contact you? You have Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube? I saw that you have a YouTube channel, right?
I have a YouTube channel. I'm considering getting back on there. I've been on sabbatical for 2 years, actually. I went to Egypt in November of 21, and it was an incredible trip and just mind-blowing. And so much healing happened, but I kept getting the message that I needed to take a sabbatical. And I'm like, I had a 2,600 square foot office. I had a video studio in it, an audio studio in it, offices, inventory, shipping, the whole 9 yards, full-time assistant. And I couldn't let her go. But the day I flew back from Egypt, my assistant interviewed for another job, was offered the job, took the job, and gave her notice. And so I said, maybe I should do this. and sabbatical, and I did nothing for 18 months. Nothing. And that was scary and hard and wonderful all at the same time. But it just let me reset, who am I and what do I want to focus my precious time and energy on? And I realized that I wanted to write novels. That it's so much fun, and B, it's a great way to help people understand truths who may not be open to reading a nonfiction book. And so I wrote my first novel, and now I'm writing the sequel to it. And I'm also writing a nonfiction book as well. So I'm doing a lot of writing. And this is the first interview that I've done in 2 years. So
Wow.
I just been turning them all down because, but I figured this one was scheduled 5 years ago. So it was about the time that I did it, right? But I'm enjoying creating. I'm painting and sculpting and
you're an
writing,
artist.
and I do a lot of crystal. I work with crystals a lot, and so it's a beautiful, beautiful life.
Wow,
Yeah.
nice.
Beautiful.
You have something else to say?
No, I just I felt so grateful to meet you. It's like an honor, how Araceli said in the beginning of the episode. And when I was like searching about you, and I find your Instagram, I find the profile, and I heard you in 5 interviews. It was so interesting because about your experience in your own life, and how you talk about the 2 books, the map and then the map of the abundance. I was hurting to you, and I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I think about that too. And it's all that makes sense. All to me makes sense. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we're all very much more alike than we are different. And we all want the same things. We want a life we love, and we want to be loved and love others and be successful. And so many people have, skewed ideas about what success means and what having money means. And so, consciously creating is kind of taking all that apart and figuring it out and giving back what doesn't resonate and holding on to what does, and life just responds.
Yes.
So it's really, really fun. It's been an honor and a privilege to talk to you today, and so much fun too.
Yeah, so much fun. And I'm so grateful too, because I admire you and recognize that you're the voice of that things that I in sometimes I think, but I don't have the value to tell it. And you say it just so lovely, and that's make me feel so connected to you, with you. And thank you so much for every time that I write you and messenger you, always answer me. So thank you so much, Boni, for this moment, this talk, and all your
a wish come true.
Yeah, a wish come true. Thank you for your words and for being here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's my privilege and honor.
Do you want to add something?
I just invite anybody who's listening to this to know that if you're listening to this, you are ready. You're ready to start on this adventure if you haven't started already. And if you have started, you're ready to take it deeper. Mm-hmm. And everybody, bar none, has the ability and power to create a life they absolutely love. And so I wish you well on that journey, and happy creating, and just have a blast.
It's the sign. This episode is the sign.
Yeah, for the other.
Yeah, for the people that is listening.
Mm-hmm. So thank you all the audience. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Boni, so much. Have a wonderful life. It's not and a bye. No, it's
see you later.
Yeah, see you later, and so soon. I hope. Okay.
Thank you. Gracias, Araceli. Y pues bueno, este fue nuestro episodio más internacional, el primero de tantos, porque hay que poner ahí la meta y el objetivo.
Totalmente.
Para eventualmente poder recibir a invitados e invitadas que nos generen a nosotros un impacto en nuestra vida, ¿no?
Claro que sí. Muchas gracias, Boni. Yo soy Araceli Arce.
Yo soy Claudia Villanueva.
Esto es
Con Afecto y Efecto.